All right, good afternoon. Welcome to today's luncheon, the Regional Candidate Roundup. I'm Lori Mattson. I'm President and CEO of the Tri-City Regional Chamber. I'd like to welcome all of you to our program today. And again, remind you to please take your seats. Today is the first time the Chamber has attempted to convene such a large group of candidates prior to an election, and we're really pleased that 30 candidates took advantage of the opportunity to meet face-to-face with all of you. The right to vote is a cornerstone of our democracy, and we believe that knowing the candidates, where the candidates stand on important issues, is essential to the process. If I could please remind you to take your seats, that would be wonderful. Also, while the Chamber doesn't endorse individual candidates, as a champion of the community, we play an important role in providing information and opportunities for members and the general public to learn about candidates and their views. Don't know if you're aware of this, but we currently have our candidate responses to our City Council questionnaire on our website, and we encourage you to check it out at tricityregionalchamber.com. The 30 candidates that are here today represent all 4 city councils, port districts, school districts, and county sheriff. In order to give you plenty of time to talk to all the candidates, today's program is going to be shorter than usual. And from about 12:30 to 1:30, the candidates will be back at their tables alongside the perimeter of the room, eager to meet you and answer your questions. And just so you know, the candidates are organized alphabetically by last name. So if you need help finding someone, a chamber staff member would be happy to assist you. Normally, this is where I ask all of our elected officials to stand, but given the nature of today's program, we're just going to ask all of the elected officials or those representing elected officials to please stand rather than going through all of our individual introductions. So again, if you're an elected official, or I know we've got a couple of federal and state leaders here representing elected officials, if you'd please stand. See, we've got all these great people. So let's, yes, thank you so much. Let's give them all a round of applause. Thank you very much for being with us today. We greatly appreciate your service and dedication to the Tri-Cities. And now I'd like to ask all of you to please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. I'd like to take a moment to recognize our premier sponsor, Mid-Columbia Libraries. Not only is Mid-Columbia Libraries a great resource for Tri-Cityans, but they're also a great supporter of the Regional Chamber. At our annual meeting in March, I was pleased to present Mid-Columbia Libraries with our 2016 Community Partner Impact Award, which is given to a nonprofit organization that has impacted the Chamber through their engagement and support. So here to speak for Mid-Columbia Libraries is the Executive Director, Kyle Cox. Please help me welcome Kyle.
So thank you, Lori, and it's always a pleasure to support the Regional Chamber. As a public library, of course, we are supportive of democracy. For many years, especially in America, public libraries have served a very important role in helping educate new citizens, immigrants from across our planet, on the nature of our democracy, providing them with information regarding voting and elections. And so it's a natural fit for us to be here to help support the information or the dissemination of knowledge and information specifically about our democracy today. Right now, coming up, we're going to have next week our kickoff event for our Mid-Columbia Reads. If you notice at the back at our table, we have a number of copies of the #1 Ladies Detective Agency, which is by Alexander McCall Smith. Alexander McCall Smith is actually an international best-selling author. He is actually coming from Scotland. We are the last stop before he goes back to Scotland. He's a prolific author. He's a wonderful speaker. I would highly encourage all of you to come. He's actually going to be here in town over at the Jurdy Center at Columbia Basin College on November 14th. So I know we probably are going to fill up the whole place, but get there early. If you would like a copy of the book, we do have a couple still left from Number One Ladies Detective Agency. He's written a number of series as well, but that's the one that we're featuring here. So here's a couple of the events that we're hosting. Actually, next week we are going to have, on October 2nd, at our Kennewick branch, we're going to have our kickoff event for Mid-Columbia Reads. There will be additional copies of the book there too if you're not able to get one, if supplies run out today. We also have some fun Scottish theme events going on throughout the month of October, including we have Scottish Highland Pipes, Border Pipes, and Small Pipes. We're going to have that presentation. On the 18th, we're going to have the Mid-Columbia School of Highland Dance is going to do a presentation. We are going to have a book talk on October 26th regarding the Number One Ladies Detective Agency. That's the book I have right here. There's copies back there. And then on November 9th, Doris Major, who's actually a wonderful lady who does a lot with us in terms of animal education, is going to talk about her journeys throughout Africa, talking about the flora and fauna of Africa, and she spent quite a bit of time there. That's the setting for the Number One Ladies Detective Agency. Alexander McCall Smith actually grew up in Africa, and so he has a lot of love for the continent and a lot of experience. And again, on November 14th is our big seminal event. It's going to be Alexander McCall Smith, international best-selling author, is going to be here. He's going to be doing a great talk and a book signing. So I hope to see all of you there. Again, thank you for your support of your regional public library. And we, again, are honored to support the Regional Chamber in all their endeavors. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kyle, and to the Mid-Columbia Libraries again for sponsoring our luncheon. Well, it's hard to believe that October is fast approaching, but we're excited that Monday is the first day of our fall Good Health is Good Business Wellness Challenge. The Tri-City Regional Chamber has been coordinating this Good Health is Good Business program since 2012. It was developed to provide employers, both large and small, an employee wellness program they might not otherwise have the time or means to coordinate. Basin Pacific Insurance and Benefits is our premier sponsor, so please help me welcome Brad Toner, Managing Partner of Basin Pacific, to help us kick off the Fall Challenge. Brad?
We hope that you'll all join us starting Monday for this next 6 weeks Wellness Challenge. We're sponsoring Good Health is Good Business because we believe in employee health. In today's workforce, it's pretty evident that increased healthcare costs and decreased productivity are affected by employee workplaces. Recent surveys have shown that 93% of small businesses believe in wellness programs and that those things affect bottom lines. However, only 22% actually participate in them. In my office, I've kind of got a built-in wellness program. Some of you may know I work with my two sons. So every once in a while when I get mad at them, I have to go for long walks. So that works out pretty well for me. Good health is good business is good business. The Regional Chamber has come up with a way that all of our businesses can participate in all shapes and all sizes. And so we encourage employees to be active, have fun, and even win prizes. Throughout the challenge, participants track their activity, nutrition, wellness habits on live leaderboard and mobile apps and earn prizes, have fun, and it's easy. At Basin Pacific, we believe in good health is good business and hope that you and your staff will join us in the Fall Wellness Challenge. We challenge you to compete against us and register today by visiting the Chamber website at the TriCityRegionalChamber.com or find a staff member afterwards. Again, thank you, and may the best team win.
Thanks, Brad. Thank you so much, Brad. And again, thanks to Basin Pacific for sponsoring our program. Again, it runs October 2nd through November 13th, right before the holidays, so it's a great thing to do. We've got flyers on our tables and also a table set out front, so we hope you'll join us. Now, please help me welcome Elizabeth Holt, who's our Membership Development Director, to announce our September Member of the Month and to present membership plaques to our newest members. Elizabeth?
Thanks, Lori. Like Lori mentioned, each month the Regional Chamber's Awards and Recognition Committee selects a member to recognize as Outstanding Member of the Month. The Chamber is pleased to announce Columbia Basin Dive Rescue as Outstanding Member of the Month for September. Columbia Basin Dive Rescue is a nonprofit, all-volunteer agency that provides water rescue and recovery services 24 hours a day, 365 days a year to law enforcement, fire, and other emergency services. Their service area encompasses more than 4,000 square miles of canals, ponds, streams, and rivers. They are nationally recognized as a model for other dive teams, both volunteer and paid alike. Columbia Basin Dive Rescue is definitely an asset to our growing community. Please help me welcome Brock, Lorraine, Phil, and Jessica to accept this award for Columbia Basin Dive Rescue. These are just a few of the over 20 volunteers that make this organization possible. Thank you, Columbia Basin Dive Rescue, for your support of the Regional Chamber and our community. We're proud to recognize them as September's Member of the Month. Next, once again, I'm excited to welcome a few of the Chamber's newest members who are able to join us here today. If I call your name, please come forward and accept your membership plaque, and please stay after the luncheon for a group photo. First, we have Ricky Pedersen with Nuclear Care Partners, Scott Mahler with Western States Equipment, David and Hannah Goss with Wild Birds Unlimited, Terry James with Dynamic Fat Loss, Joel Cruz with Western Restaurant Supply and Design, and David Milne with Milne Nail Power Tool and Repair. Please join me in welcoming these new members to the Regional Chamber. So while they gather for a group photo, I would just like to draw your attention to the screen. The members that are shown up on the screen have been Regional Chamber members for 20 years or longer. We appreciate their participation and support of the Regional Chamber. So can we please give these members a round of applause as well? Thank you.
So joining us today is the Benton County Auditor, Brenda Chilton. Brenda has been the auditor since 2010, and it's her job to handle elections and voting registration throughout Benton County. I'd like to invite Brenda up to the podium to speak about the importance of voting in the November election. Please help me welcome Brenda.
Good afternoon. Yes, I'm Brenda Chilton. I'm the Benton County Auditor. So I'm excited to be here today. This platform is a wonderful opportunity for the candidates to get out and meet people and get their message out. First, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what the mission of elections officials are. Although I have several roles in the auditor's office, one of my primary roles is as the official election administrator for Benton County. And we, election administrators, we really have a three-pronged mission. First and foremost is to provide secure, accurate, and transparent elections. Second is to provide a method for which people can register to vote. And lastly, and probably the most elusive, and what I'm going to focus on today, is voter participation. So we're fortunate in Washington State to have one of the best election systems in the country. So we mark off the secure, accurate, and transparent elections off of our mission list on a daily basis. Voter registration in Washington has been on the forefront of making voter registration accessible to voters. But unfortunately, voter registration does not translate to turnout, as you all know. So, unfortunately, the U.S. trails most developed countries in voter turnout. Out of the list of 35 developed nations in the world, where would you think that the United States would land in voter participation? 35 out of 35, where would you imagine that they would land? Number 28. So number one is Belgium. 87.2% of Belgium's voting age population participated in their general election in 2016. In the U.S., just 55.7% of its voting age population participated. And of that, that was 86.8% of registered voters. So what that means is not all people who are eligible to register to vote are registered. So how did Washington State fare? In the general election of 2016, Washington State had 79% turnout. That's awesome. Benton County was right in line with where Washington State was. We were at 79%. Uh-oh, did I give the answer away? The highest voter turnout in Washington State was in Jefferson County. Do you all know where that is on the west side of the state? At 86%. Franklin County, our neighbor across the river, was right at about 74%. So Benton and Franklin counties are right at where statewide the trend was. So when we look at voter participation, we tend to look at countries that are doing it successfully and how can we do it better. What drives the highest countries in the world in their voter participation rates? So some countries have compulsory or mandatory voting. Most of the top countries that have high voter participation have compulsory or mandatory voting. Also, they have automatic voter registration versus self-selection registration in the United States. I should say in most of the states in the United States, we have self-selection registration. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So in some countries, Election Day is a holiday or it's scheduled on a Saturday versus, as you know, in the United States, it's on a Tuesday, and most of us work. And then some countries make it a really, really big deal. They'll have it on a Saturday. In Australia, they make it a huge event. They have barbecues, the pubs have events, things like that. So they make it a little bit of a party. So, across the United States, Washington fares number 16 in voter participation at about 6% of the voting age population. Minnesota has the highest at 74.5% and Hawaii the lowest at 50%. What affects a low voter participation rate? According to the voters, lack of choices or issues, voter ID laws, disenfranchisement, which is an important issue. For instance, in the presidential election, if a voter is not interested in the top races on the ballot, does that affect the down the ballot races? If they don't want to vote for one of the presidential candidates, how does that affect their desire to actually vote on the down the ballot races? Long lines at the polls. Good news, in Washington State, we don't have polls anymore. We vote by mail. And then demographics play a large role in voter participation. Race, ethnicity, gender, socioeconomic status, age, and our ever-elusive 18 to 24-year-old voting bloc. So how can we improve voter participation? We can make registering to vote easier. Honestly, registering to vote has never been easier in the state of Washington. Traditionally, we have our motor voter. When you go in to renew or get your driver's license, you can register to vote. We have, some states have automatic voter registration. Washington State is just dipping their toe in automatic voter registration. Our neighbors in Oregon now have automatic voter registration. Registering to vote online. Washington State was the second state in the United States that allowed voters to register online. And then there are a couple of opportunities that county auditors are looking at along with the state legislators, including 16, 17-year-old pre-registration. They want to capture those voters when they come in and get their driver's license. So giving them an opportunity when they get their driver's license to come in and register to vote. And then same-day voter registration. As most of you probably know, there are deadlines. If you don't register by a certain date, then you're not eligible to vote on election day. So what some states have adopted is same-day voter registration, where you can register to vote up and through Election Day. Washington, again, is just starting to explore that with our legislators. Prepaid postage. So one of the things that we hear regularly from people, especially that elusive 18 to 24-year-old block, is I don't even know how to get a postage stamp. How am I going to mail my ballot? And so we're exploring the possibility of providing prepaid postage on your mailing envelopes. And then there's a coalition of states. There are 21 now, I believe, that belong to a group called ERIC, the Electronic Registration Information Coalition, and they identify those in the voting age population that are not yet registered to vote, and they reach out to them in hopes that they will vote. So we can also streamline and simplify voting. We've done that well in Washington State. Vote by mail. Hire invested and engaged election workers doesn't necessarily apply in Washington State because we're vote by mail. Get people excited about politics between elections. The question is, who's responsible for that? Where are the resources to do that? Are election administrators responsible for that? Are candidates responsible for that? Are other elected officials responsible for that? And last, but certainly not least, the number one item that we're asked on a regular basis is, why won't you allow people to vote online? I listed that last because that is probably the last item that will get adopted in terms of allowing people to vote. There are currently just too many risks involved with allowing people to vote online. So, as you know, this is an off-year election cycle. We had our presidential election last year, and in our off-year election cycles, we have our what I like to call the government closest to the people. Actually, that's not my phrase. Thomas Jefferson said, "The government closest to the people serves the people best." And so why is it important to get out and vote this year? The school districts, the city councils, the fire districts, the water districts, all the way down to diking and drainage districts. Those are the ballots that are on the positions that are on the ballot this year, and they truly are the positions that affect you most. Unfortunately, turnout tends to be much lower in the off year. In 2015, just 33% of our voters in Benton County voted in the general election. This year, we have the opportunity in Benton County to vote on 49 races or measures on the ballot here locally. So, I'm going to give you really the most compelling reason to vote. What is the most common thing that people say when they tell you why they chose not to vote? My vote really doesn't make a difference, right? When they're voting for President of the United States, it's just one vote in a big pool. We have an electoral system. My vote doesn't count. Let me tell you why your vote does count. In 2010, Benton County had a district court judge race that was decided by 9 votes. We were required to recount the race by hand. If just 9 more voters had voted one way or the other for a candidate, the other candidate would have won. An even more compelling reason, Richland School District 2015, we had a tied race. And guess how we decided that? We flipped a coin. So if one more person would have gotten out and voted for one candidate or the other, there would have been a decision based on the desire of the voters. Instead, we flipped a coin. So I want to say that this format that I'm seeing here today is fabulous. It's an excellent opportunity for the voters, or for the candidates, to get out and meet their voters, to share their message. One of the most difficult things for the local races really is resources. Most of them are really volunteers when it comes to the positions they're running for. They get paid a very small salary. They're either using their own resources or minimal contributions that are made to them. And so these types of formats are really where they can get their message out. So I applaud the Chamber for providing this opportunity. And what I would say is your vote does make a difference. Don't let your race candidates be the next tide race that's decided by a flip of the coin. So thank you.
Hey, thank you, Brenda. I'm Tony Umek, Chair of the Regional Chamber. I had to step out for a quick emergency. Anyone who's got dogs at home may experience things that they do at the last moment when you get a call that says help. So I think it's taken care of. So that was a great discussion. I really appreciate that. And as we talked about earlier, the opportunity to interact with candidates, with elected officials. Most of us who are busy every day have a hard time doing that. And again, as Brenda mentioned, if you look at the positions that our folks accept in the Tri-City region and compare it to places like Spokane, Seattle, and Vancouver, their salaries, their reimbursements are very, very small given what they do. So again, a lot of passion on their part and a lot of passion on our part as a chamber. Glad to be able to bring that to you. We'd like to convene so that we can become more aware of what's going on. That's one of our missions this year will be to do more and more of that. So thank you all for coming. A few quick notes. Lori said this earlier, and Brad, good friend Brad, mentioned that good health is good business. I can tell you it's not only fun, but it's very rewarding. I've been involved in it for several years since I moved back to the Tri-Cities. It's a great opportunity to challenge yourself and your employees and your friends. So please, if you haven't done it, please take advantage of it. A few other announcements. We have tomorrow, next Business Development University Workshop. If you haven't been to that, it's a great opportunity to learn how to market your business. We have an expert from WSU, Jeffrey Dennison, who will be there. He's very knowledgeable, and it'll be worth your while to attend if you can make it. Another important event that's on the horizon is October 17 through 19. Next month, we'll be doing a member event. Periodically, chambers throughout the United States, including us, take the opportunity to increase our membership by getting volunteers to help pursue new members and provide opportunities to people they know. So we'll have a large number of volunteers. We'd like to ask you, if you haven't thought of volunteering, it only takes about 2 hours of your time. You'll have a great opportunity to participate, to help champion the community, help our business community, help the chamber. And if you want to do that, we have chamber staff here available, and we're just across the street in the chamber office where you can check in if you want to. Next month, we have another luncheon upcoming. This one will be October 25, I believe. Yeah, October 25th, it'll be at the Pasco Red Lion. This one will be interesting. This one will feature an individual who is a technology person, or listen, if you have a map application app on your smartphone, it's very possible that his company and he was involved in the technology to put that together. And those of us that love Waze and other devices, who live by them when they're traveling, really thank that opportunity. So again, October 25. And of course, we have to thank all of our sponsors. Mid-Columbia Libraries always does a great job. It's really impressive to see what's going on in that arena. I know we have family members and friends who are actively involved in the library. We do it online from where we are in Benton County. Basin Pacific, Brad, thank you. Three Rivers staff, who always does a good job when we meet here. They provide a lot of opportunity for us to interact because they take care of everything else, and we appreciate that. And thank you very much to all of you candidates, elected folks who took the time today to be here. I know it took you away from other things. We appreciate it very much. And as always, Lori and her chamber staff who take their time to put these events together. And again, it's all about this community. It's all about growing business. And that's why the chamber's here, and that's why we appreciate your involvement. And thank all the rest of you for being here today. Have a great afternoon. Don't forget to vote, please. It's important. Thank you.